Yes. What's going on, everyone? Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell for me. So, we have some big news. One, Fury and Joshua have agreed terms. It's signed, sealed, and delivered. And we also have Anthony Joshua coming back in July. So, I'll go ahead and just read off a few facts just in case some of you aren't aware of the details. So I'm going to be reading here from the New York Times, The Athletic. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, excuse me, have both signed contracts to finally fight each other in late 2026. The two former world heavyweight champions have agreed the details for a bout which will be broadcast live on streaming giant Netflix. So not DAZN, Netflix. Interesting. Let's keep going down, blah, blah, blah. Turkey set it up, we know. And so here's the other key detail. Joshua, 36, will first face little-known Albanian Kristian Prenga in a bout on July 25th in Saudi Arabia as part of a multi-fight deal that will be broadcast on DAZN. It will be the British heavyweight's first outing since he beat Jake Paul in December, but was then involved in a serious car accident while in Nigeria. Joshua's two close friends were killed in the motor vehicle collision, but the boxer escaped without any serious injury. Joshua's team were insistent in negotiations for the Fury bout that he would have a warm-up bout due to him getting back to full fitness following the accident. All right, cool. I guess we'll start with AJ Fury. That's the big news. I want to say I'm excited, but we've seen this movie before with them, you know. Every time we get close to this fight happening, something happens. And I'm just worried that they're both tempting fate. I'm hearing that Tyson Fury may be interested in having another fight himself in July, and that may be against Big Baby Miller, who won this weekend in what was an awful fight. I watched it. I watched maybe the first 8 rounds, and then I said I'm going to bed. I just turned it off. It was horrible. Everybody was glazing this guy for throwing 1,000 punches, but they were literally like this. They weren't even like arm punches. They were just little nudges, just doing absolutely nothing. Those weren't real punches. I'm sorry. If I were counting, the CompuBox guy, right, sitting there clicking, counting the punches, I wouldn't have counted those as punches, So he didn't look good. Maybe he knows he's coming to the end, no more PEDs for him. So he's just looking to cash out and fight a big name. Why not fight Fury? Make a few $1 million. In my opinion, he's going to get knocked out. He's going to get stopped. And he'll get paid his millions and retire. But still, you never know. Tyson Fury's getting older. I thought he looked very shaky in the first couple rounds against Makhmudov. Now, granted, Makhmudov is a bigger man. I would say naturally bigger man than Big Baby. Even though Big Baby weighs more, a lot of that is just due to his gluttony and the fact that he overindulges in food and has not been able to conquer his relationship with food. But I think if Jarrell Miller were in shape, and I've seen him when he was like 270, 265, and when he was on all the juice, right? Even when he was a kickboxer, right? When he fought Mirko Krokop, I've seen him and he's a lot leaner naturally, but he's getting older and seems to have really poor eating habits and just poor discipline. But I do think that Makhmudov is a naturally bigger man, a stronger man, harder puncher. So that may have been what perturbed Fury in those early rounds. Even though a lot of those shots weren't landing, when you're catching them on the gloves, you can still feel a guy's power, and you're like, whoa. So Big Baby won't present that challenge, but he will present a constant work rate. It ain't a whole lot, but he makes the most of what he has. But I expect Tyson Fury to win easily. Now Joshua's fighting Kristian Prenga, an Albanian who I believe is based here in America. I had never heard of the guy prior to this. He's an obscure heavyweight. I'm gonna look up his box rec. Kristian, I can't spell, bro. Sorry, I'm tired, guys. I've been working all day, but I wanted to get this out to you guys before the day was over. Let's see, Kristian Prenga. I watched some of his highlights. I mean, he doesn't seem like total garbage, but he doesn't seem like anything special. It says here his record is 20-1. He has one loss. When was his last loss? Seems to be. So this was, let's see. He lost on decision to Giovanni Ariema, maybe that's how you pronounce it. This was in 2017. The guy he lost to was 2-6 with 0 KOs. So the guy he lost to wasn't that good, so that's not a promising sign. But he hasn't lost since then, and he seems to have some power, right? He's won 20 fights, 19 of them by KO. So he has some pop. So again, why tempt fate? But I still expect AJ to, I was wrong. He has a 100% KO ratio. Let's see, 6'5". How much did he weigh in his last fight? Hang on. Oh, wow, he fought Willie Jake. Willie Jake, he's from my hometown. Wow. Man. He just gets knocked out by everybody. That's that black dude that Richard Torres knocked out a few years ago. This man, he is not representing my hometown well, man. He's losing to everybody. Okay, so this is the competition that he's facing. So he's not facing tough competition, but he can punch. All right, he's big, he's strong, he can punch. But I still expect AJ to deal with the guy pretty easily. He's not the first puncher AJ's faced. And I don't think punchers are what bothers AJ. What bothers AJ is pressure, right? Ruiz, obviously, stereotypical Mexican pressure fighter. Usyk, while not known as a pressure fighter, puts a lot of intense pressure on people, especially on the front foot. You saw that in the Fury fight. He pressured Fury. Fury was on the back foot. And he pressures you with feints, with movements, constantly moving his head. He's constantly using that wand lead hand, playing the lead hand battle. So he's pressuring your mind. And then Dubois, while not known as a very fast heavyweight, I think has underrated hand speed and has incredibly fast feet. I was just rewatching the first fight between Dubois and Usyk, and the way he was throwing that uppercut, there was a lot of torque on that mug. It wasn't just power. Like, Dubois has some speed, and I think that's what bothers AJ is when it's a lot of pressure, a lot of speed. He's kind of in a tumble dryer. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't have time to think, But if you're kind of just a straight up and down boxer and you're looking to have a boxing match with AJ, but at a steady pace. And AJ has time and space to think and put his combinations together, get a rhythm, build some confidence, fill you out. I think he's fine. So I expect him to beat this guy, but you never know, right? AJ, he's older. He's taken some damage. The last real fight he had was against Daniel Dubois, which was a total beatdown. And it is interesting. He has zero interest in running it back with Daniel Dubois, which is a bit disappointing. You know, I'd at least like to see him attempt to avenge that, but it might just be a situation where someone told him, man, just leave that boy alone. That ain't the one for you, you know, because that was a horrific beatdown. It was like watching Superman get killed or something like that, you know. So, you know, his last fight, he didn't look too good. But I still think AJ has the skill. I still think he has the ability to compete at the top level. Do I think he'll be undisputed? Do I believe Usyk? Nah, I don't, you know. Hatman made a good point. I don't always agree with Hatman, but he made a good point that AJ has a tendency to outsource his thinking. Like, even with his level of experience and his level of just the amount of fights that he's had, right? He's 36 years old. He still seems to not know who he is as a fighter. You know, it's kind of weird. It's like, what is AJ's style? Like, what is his identity? I don't know. I can't really point to it. I always say he's a poor man's Lennox Lewis. You know, I think that's probably the best comparison. But Lennox didn't doubt himself the way AJ does. AJ has a lot of doubt, which is, it's frustrating from the outside looking in, but everybody's makeup and psyche is different. You know, as somebody who roots for him, you wonder why he has those doubts in his mind, because he seems to have all the tools. And I think that's why he's frustrating to a lot of fans in general. It's just like, dude, you have everything you need to be successful, but you just overthink things. But I think that really only happens when you put the pressure on him. You know, getting back to the point with this Prenga guy, I don't think he has the skills to put the pressure on AJ to really fluster him. He's pretty old himself. He's 35 years old, so I expect AJ to win. I hope he wins. And yeah, man, I hope Fury wins. I want to see this fight. I make no secret that I'm rooting for AJ. It is what it is. If you want the fake objective channels, I mean, all these guys act like they never rooted for a fighter in their lives, which is weird to me, you know? Yeah, I root for fighters, but as you can see, I'm not a fanboy, and I can give an honest assessment even if I support a fighter. But yeah, man, I want to see these guys win. I want to see this fight happen. Who do I think will win? I guess early prediction time. I genuinely think it's 50-50. Again, if AJ's mind's right, I think he has all the tools needed to beat Tyson Fury. Is Tyson Fury the more creative boxer? Yes. Is he the naturally more confident person? Yeah. He's been in the sport his entire life. His dad was a fighter, right? Yeah, okay, his dad wasn't that good, but being in that environment is a huge advantage, right? Like Kobe Bryant's dad played pro ball as well, and he wasn't a Hall of Famer, but there's no doubt that made a huge impact on Kobe and gave him an advantage over other guys coming up, right? Steph Curry's dad played professionally, so there's a huge advantage in growing up in that environment and basically being bred, you know. So Fury definitely has those advantages, I think, when it just comes to the muscle memory, the reflexes, the creativity. But you don't need all that to be a great heavyweight, right? Lennox Lewis, there was nothing about him that really, he did everything at like an 8 out of 10 level. His jab, maybe his jab was a 10 out of 10, but he just did the basics well. Vitaly Klitschko just did the basics well. Like AJ seems to be focused on having a bag. You know, you hear like hoop heads say like LeBron doesn't have a bag. It's like, well, why would he? He's 6'9", 260. Why would I be out here dribbling the basketball like 6'1" Kyrie Irving or 6'1" Damian Lillard when I can just drive to the basket and get an easy two? You know, it's almost like AJ wants to make it more complicated for himself. Like he's constantly trying to prove something when he could be a Hall of Famer if he just leaned into his attributes and just started using his attributes well, you know. The whole Usyk link up thing, it sounds cool, but again, like you can't outsource your thinking. You know, you can't constantly ask people what they think. At a certain point, when you have a certain amount of experience, you have to be able to make judgments independently. You have to think independently. And he still seems to want somebody to like hold his hand. It's kind of weird, you know. So, I don't know. I say it's 50-50, but maybe that's just the fanboy in me. So I'd probably lean towards Tyson Fury at this point. I pray I'm wrong, but I could see it being similar to the Klitschko fight, a boring 12-round decision where AJ just doesn't let his hands go, and Fury is just flicking out his illegal backhanded jab, which is illegal. It's against the rules. I don't care what you say. You can't backhand people in boxing. And yeah, basically AJ just kind of lays an egg and just decides to lose on points and never takes a risk like Vlad. There's a lot of Vlad in AJ. I wish AJ had more Lennox Lewis instead of Vlad. He should be trying to be like Lennox Lewis. That's the perfect fighter for him to emulate, you know. Similar build, similar attributes. Both of them have power in both hands. You know, and Lennox, it's not like Lennox had an iron chin. He got laid out twice by a journeyman, but I don't know. Lennox was just game. I mean, the only boring fights I can think he had were the 2 fights with Holyfield. Those weren't that great, you know. But Lennox has always been game and just been aggressive. And to me, I think AJ has to go after Fury and be aggressive. Go to the body and don't just throw straight 1s and 2s. You know, Usyk was doing that because Usyk's short. He's little, you know, and he had to be far more cautious because he's giving up so much size and so much reach, you know, so he had to take what he could get in the early rounds. AJ has the size and the strength to where Fury can't lean all over him, can't push him around like he could a 210-pound Wilder, and he could just dig to that body, you know. I know AJ's not really an inside fighter. That's not his game. So I don't think it's advisable to try that for the first time against Fury. I've never seen AJ like actually try and go on the inside, you know. And it's hard to see Fury agreeing. Fights like that are basically like silent agreements. We're just going to fight on the inside. You know, if one guy doesn't want to fight on the inside, you know, there are ways around it. Like, especially if you're skilled enough, I should say. And someone like Tyson Fury is skilled enough. If he doesn't want to fight on the inside, he's not going to fight on the inside. But there are openings, though, especially with the left hook to the body. Like, test his body and also make sure that the referee forces Fury to expose his navel and not pull his trunks up to his nipples. which he's notorious for doing, you know. So we'll see, man. Uh, I'm excited, but we'll see. You know, you never know. You never know. I'll believe it when I see it. But I'll say it's good news. Let's be positive. Let's end the night on a positive note and say this is good news, and that it's gonna happen. And I think it's great for the sport, man. I think these fights are really great for the sport. Whoever wins, whoever loses, I just think the sport wins, and that's what's most important. Is that the big fights get made. You know, we don't want another Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe. You know, this is borderline Mayweather Pacquiao, right? They're both washed. They're both at the end, but it's still good for the sport, especially when it's heavyweights. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm out. Peace.